ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ
ਫਤਿਹ। Okay guys, ਆਪ ਜੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਚੈਨਲ ਵੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ 840 ਤੇ ਵਰਲਡ ਵਾਈਡ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਟ ਤੇ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਸਿੱਖ ਐਥਿਕਸ ਦਾ ਆ। ਇਟਸ ਔਨ ਦਾ ਬੈਕ ਆਫ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਪਾਂ BBC ਨੇ ਡਾਕੂਮੈਂਟਰੀ ਦਿਖਾ ਲਈ ਆ BBC ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਤੇ ਸੈਟੇਲਾਈਟ ਚੈਨਲ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਦਿਖਾ ਲਈ ਆ ਐਂਡ ਇਟਸ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਸੈਕਸ਼ੂਅਲ ਗਰੂਮਿੰਗ। ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਜ ਸਿੱਖ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਸੁਸਾਇਟੀ ਤੋਂ ਪੈਨਲ ਸਾਰਾ ਇਕੱਠਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਆ ਤੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਫਿਲਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੇ ਕੁਛ ਆਪਾਂ ਦਿਖਾ ਲਿਆ ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਹੋਣੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਵੇ ਫੋਰਵਰਡ ਫॉर द ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਕੋਸ ਹਾਈਲਾਈਟ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਬਟ ਵੀ ਨੀਡ ਟੂ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਹੈਵ ਅ ਵੇ ਫੋਰਵਰਡ ਐਂਡ ਅ ਸਟਰਕਚਰ ਸੋ ਦੈਟ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਆ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਬੱਚੀ ਆ ਸਾਡੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਬੱਚੀ ਦਾ ਬਾਲ ਨਾ ਵਿੰਗਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਬੱਚੀ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਸ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹ ਕੇਸ ਦਿਖਾ ਲਏ ਉੱਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਮੇਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਨਾ ਲੰਘਣ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਅੱਜ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਵਟਐਵਰ ਯੂ ਡੂਇੰਗ ਆਊਟ ਦੇਅਰ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਟੈਲੀ ਦੇ ਮੋਹਰੇ ਬਹਿ ਜਾਓ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਰਿਕਾਰਡ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਲਓ ਬਟ ਗੌਰ ਨਾਲ ਸੁਣਿਓ ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਦਿਸ ਕੁਡ ਹੈਲਪ ਸੇਵ your daughter, your niece, your granddaughter. This is how important this program is. We need a way forward. We need to discuss a way forward so that none of our girls fall into this trap that ਜਿਹੜਾ ਜੇ ਕੁਛ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਤੇ ਜੇ ਕੁਛ ਵੀ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਵਾਟਰਸ਼ੈਡ ਦਾ 9 ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੋਂ ਆ ਕਾਫੀ ਇਹ ਬੱਚੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗ੍ਰਾਫਿਕ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦੇ ਸੀ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ 9 ਵਜੇ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲੋਂ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਕੀਤਾ ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਹਾਲਤ ਹੋਈ ਬੱਚੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਉਹ ਇੰਨੀ ਬੁਰੀ ਹਾਲਤ ਹੋਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਬੱਚੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਆ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਭੁੱਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਵੀ ਟੂ ਡਿਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਲ 2 ਸਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ। ਸੋ ਆਮ ਨੋਟ ਗੋਇੰ ਟੂ ਵੇਸਟ ਐਨੀ ਟਾਈਮ and I'm just going to go to any of the panel. You've seen the panel here before. I'm not going to even introduce their names. They're very familiar names, very familiar faces. We'll let them do the talking. After about 40 minutes of the program, ਆਪਾਂ ਲਾਈਨਾਂ ਖੋਲ ਦਵਾਂਗੇ। So ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, let me reiterate that it is a very serious problem ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਸਰਵਣ ਕੀਤਾ BBC ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ। ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਅੱਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਕੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ BBC iPlayer ਤੇ ਵੀ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ so you know what we're talking about. So straight away anyone guys, I mean Harvey, I'll go to you first because ਆਪ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਕੇਸਾਂ ਤੇ ਜਾ ਚੱਕੇ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੇ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ
ਜਿੰਨੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਗਏ ਆ SAS ਦੇ ਨਾਲ with the Sikh Awareness Society. It's this same story that we see everywhere when we go into people's houses. I mean, Uncle, over the years when we've gone, and firstly, I'd just like to commend the BBC. That as the news investigations and stuff go, you know, with the BBC, their investigations are world-renowned. The BBC World Service, the BBC investigations, you know that they're going to investigate. They've travelled over abroad. They've gone to California. They've gone to India. They've travelled around. They've looked at different victims. They've pulled them together, and they've looked at the stories. They've put them across, and we know that it happens. But it's the first time that we've been recognised from outside that this is a problem. And I think the way in which they've approached the different communities, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਾਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਆ ਜੀ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ I think everybody, the number of times we talk about the problems, the number of times ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਾਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਆ ਹੁਣ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਫੋਕਸ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਵੀ ਸੋਲੂਸ਼ਨ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਕਰੀਏ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ how we can support and work with victims. I mean those victims, they're brave enough to come forwards and put across their arguments, put across what they've been through, which is in a difficult situation, which I know you know a lot of the time I get emotional when you hear it directly from the victims. And I think it's the first time a lot of our audience may have seen directly a victim speaking. I know some of it was lost with actors' voices, but the emotions, the words and the content, we've got to now look at another support, what networks we've got, how we can continue to support them, and what we can do, what we can put in place. And it's got to be localised to around the country.
I think something key that Harvey said, and Aapji, I hope you're listening, the key word he said, that BBC, they don't film anything. They've investigated this whole thing for over a year. ਬੱਚੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਨਵੈਸਟ ਕੀਤੇ. They invested a lot of time and effort to get the truth out. And you know, it's not just like us ਆਪਾਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੁੰਦਾ. They've had lawyers looking at this. They've had big people looking at this, and they brought just 4 ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਰੱਖੇ ਆ. ਪਰ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਸੁਸਾਇਟੀ 19 ਕੇਸ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ up and down the country, from the north to the south, and the youngest one that we're dealing with at this present time 12 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਬੱਚੀ ਦਾ, and we probably get on today. Sab?
I think obviously BBC needs to be commended, and you know, we can commend all night, but that's not the point. I think the biggest point is one of the things that Harvey said, and sort of going to people's houses when you're walking in. We're doing a lot of things just on a seva ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ. And I know that ਜਿਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਵੀ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਘੰਟੇ ਲੱਗਦੇ ਆ ਉਸ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਜਾਣ ਲਈ, ਮਾਂ ਪਿਓ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ, ਬੱਚੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ, ਫਰੈਂਡਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ. And we have to be on tap 24 hours a day. And if everybody on this panel is actually doing this outside of their ordinary lives. You know, that's really important to tell that. ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਪੈਨਲ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਸੇਵਾ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਓਨ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਟਾਈਮ ਲੈ ਕੇ. ਐਂਡ ਜਿਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਇਹੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਕੁੜੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹਮਦਰਦੀ ਕਰੋ. ਲੇਕਿਨ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਦੀ ਛਾਣਬੀਨ ਕਰੀਏ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਸੱਚ ਦੱਸ ਰਹੀ ਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਾਣੇ ਸੱਚ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਆ. ਇਹ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਆ. ਅਸੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਸੱਚ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੱਚ ਹੈਗਾ, ਝੂਠ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ. And we never go in ones, it's always 2-3 people. Party de naal, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ, Harvey would go, you know, there's a mixed match of, you know, people going. And I think, you know, it's okay, you know, a handful of people doing this. लेकिन साडी community ਨੂੰ ਸਾਡੀ support ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਆ. ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਆ support ਦੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲੇ ਕਈ ਵੇਲੇ time ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ. We haven't got the resources, financial resources to do anything. And I think it's really, really important that, you know, ਸਾਡੀ community, they wake up, because, you know, ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹੋਗੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈਗੇ, it's alright ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਦਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ, you know what, wake up. Because ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਆ. ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੱਚਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ, ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕੋਈ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਆ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਊਗਾ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ. And you know, every single Sikh household is affected. And if you don't want to accept that, then, you know, I think you're living in cloud cuckoo land.
I think some of the ਕਈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿਊਅਰਸ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਨਾ ਪਤਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਕਿ ਸਿੱਖ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਸੁਸਾਇਟੀ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕੀ ਆ. ਸਿੱਖ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਸੁਸਾਇਟੀ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਬਾਡੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਆ, ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਸਿੰਪਲ ਮਤਲਬ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਗਾਉਣਾ, ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਪਣੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਅਫੈਕਟ ਕਰਦਾ ਆ ਉਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੇਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ. ਤੇ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਔਨ ਦ ਸਟਰੀਟਸ ਆਫ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਨ ਇਹ ਹੁਣ ਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੀ, ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਨਵੀਂ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇੱਕਦਮ ਜਾਂ 2 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਗਈ ਆ, ਇਹ ਸਦੀਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਆ. ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਸੁਸਾਇਟੀ ਨੇ ਸਮਝਿਆ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਦਈਏ. ਪਿਛਲੇ ਸਾਲਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਈ ਸਾਲਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ, ਕਈਆਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ 2-2 3-3 ਵਜੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ, ਆਪਣੇ ਕਾਲਜਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ, ਯੂਨੀਵਰਸਿਟੀਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ, ਕੋਲੋਂ ਤੇਲ ਪਾ ਕੇ, ਕੋਲੋਂ ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ, ਜਦੋਂ 3-3 4-4 ਬੰਦੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੰਮ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ, we've been raising awareness. ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਕੱਲੀ ਬੱਚੀ ਦੀ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੁੰਦੀ, we support. ਜਦੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਬੱਚੀ ਡਿਫਿਕਲਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ, ਕੱਲੀ ਬੱਚੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਮਾਪਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਨੀ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਆ, ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਨੀ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਆ. ਕਈਆਂ ਦੀ ਤਾਂ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਦੀ ਇੰਨੀ ਹੈਲਥ ਖਰਾਬ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਕਈ ਯੂ ਨੋ ਬੱਚੀ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ 2-3 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਹਾਰਟ ਅਟੈਕ ਥਰੂ ਸਟ੍ਰੈਸ ਵਟਐਵਰ. ਕਈਆਂ ਫੈਮਲੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਤਾਂ ਬ੍ਰੇਕਅਪ ਵੀ ਹੋਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਈ ਆ ਕਿ ਬਾਪ ਆਪਣੀ the husband will start blaming the wife and the wife will start blaming the mother, and internal fights ਵੀ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ just because of that one issue. We work with the families, we work with the child, we work with the extended family on programs like Big Brother, Big Sister, counseling. ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਘੰਟੇ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੇ. ਬੱਚੀ ਦਾ ਸਰੀਰ ਲਿਆਉਣਾ ਵਾਪਸ ਸੌਖਾ ਕੰਮ ਆ, ਪਰ ਬੱਚੀ ਦਾ ਮਨ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਜਿੱਤਣਾ, getting the mind back into working order, ਉਹ ਕਈ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਕਈ ਸਾਲ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਬੱਚੀ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਉਹ ਗੰਦ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਪਈ ਆ ਉਹ ਗੰਦ ਦੇ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਤੇ ਚੋਂ ਕੱਢਣਾ ਤੇ ਨਵੀਂ ਚੀਜ਼ ਪਾਉਣੀ ਕਈ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਕਈ ਸਾਲ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਐਂਡ them are the works that we've been able to do but the amount of ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਹੈਲਪਲਾਈਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਫੋਨ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਵਰਡ ਆਫ ਮਾਊਥ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਕੇਸ ਹੁਣ ਵੱਧ ਗਏ ਆ ਹੁਣ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ 2 ਵੀਕ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਦੱਸਦਾ ਟੈਲੀਫੋਨ ਆਇਆ ਬ੍ਰੈਡਫੋਰਡ ਤੋਂ ਕਿ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਾਡੀ ਬੱਚੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਉਹ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਫੋਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਉਨੇ ਆ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਗ੍ਰੇਵਜ਼ੈਂਡ ਤੋਂ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਬੱਚੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਏ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੁਣ ਕਿੱਧਰ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਈਏ ਬ੍ਰੈਡਫੋਰਡ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਈਏ ਕਿ ਗ੍ਰੇਵਜ਼ੈਂਡ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਈਏ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਕੁ ਰਿਸੋਰਸਿਸ ਆ ਕਿਹਦੀ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਕਰੀਏ ਵੀ ਕਿਹਦਾ ਕੇਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੋਈ ਫੋਨ ਕਰਦਾ ਉਹ ਇਹੀ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਮੇਰਾ ਕੇਸ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਹੈ who do we support we need your support we need physical support we need financial support on top of that ਆਪਣੇ Cam you want to come in this
It's important to stress, I think you're doing a great job at the moment, and it is right to commend yourselves also, because the amount of seva that you've been doing for the past since '98 is immense. And there's only a few organisations out there like yourselves that are doing this. And it's not the Sikh children that I'm aware that we've had the kirpa of also helping out in. It's not the Sikh children. We've helped Hindu children.
That's right.
We've helped Christians. We've helped Gore. We've helped everyone. And we feel blessed because we're part of the Sikh Awareness Society. Do the seva that you guys do. We've been able to help out and be a benefit to the whole communities. And I think what I'm trying to get out of here is what you're doing now. It's got to a level where you've taken it. But now it's the next level where you got to take it. Because when you do go to a household, it does take a few hours. It's not a kentidigal, it's a travelling there and back, the actual preparation of what needs to be done next, then the counselling on the phone, the revisits. There's a lot of effort and time that goes into one particular case. If you're dealing with 19 cases at this very moment in time, and that just gives you some kind of insight of
well, I
how
know
big the
that
issue
you're
is.
dealing with. I've given you a case of 2 sisters up in the north. Now travelling to the north and back and forth, ਕਿੰਨੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਗੇੜੇ ਮਾਰਨੇ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਤੇਲ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਹੀ resources ਹੀ ਆ
it's resources, it's time commitment. But the thing is, like, you're right, I think we're at a stage now, the community have seen the BBC do that documentary. They've seen that this issue is affecting a large proportion of the communities, and we need to be, we are aware of it now. What's our next steps? The process here is, what you're doing is fine wherever it is, but now to take it forward, is like Benji already said, is now what we need to do is need to get this into a proper structure where you have paid full-time botanics like yourselves, right, that go out, and as soon as you get that call, you're gone. But at the moment, I know, because we've been in a few cases where we've had to travel to X town in the middle of the night, come back, talk to the family, come back, and so they fit come jana panda, So I know how hard it is, and I've only helped out in a few cases. How many you guys do on a daily basis? I don't know how you might be blessing for you guys to be able to do that, And I just want to stress, like, look, the process here is this. It's a three stroke strategy to this, Okay. The number one, what we need to understand is, as a community, we work together. This isn't about, I don't like that individual, I don't like that Bandi, I don't like that channel. No, you got to get past that. Because this issue affects everyone, right? And therefore, we don't want to tap into, I don't care which religion you're from, I'm not bothered. If we're here to help somebody, we're here to help somebody. And if we can save someone's daughter from going through the agony of where someone has to, it takes years. Not, you said months, I think you would be very conservative there, but I've been working for this for the last 10 years. It takes years for that child to come back into normality.
But I don't think a child ever comes back to normal life.
But that's some kind of normality,
Yeah, exactly.
So what my binti would be is this, What we need to do, Uncle, is a three-pronged track on this,
Okay.
Number one is prevention. So we need to think of preventive mechanisms to put in place. For example, Sikhi classes, for example, awareness programs. For example, when you do your talk at Godra Sahib, you go there, but then you've seen how many. It takes a good 2-3 hours to get out of the Darbar Sahib because everyone wants to talk to you. Now, if you, for example, if this was a paid organisation and you were doing this full time, you could be at that Godra Sahib and you could be there for 2-3 days at one particular location, talking to youngsters, talking to elders. being a support mechanism and then passing the knowledge on, and what to look out for, what the characteristics are, what to spot where the child's going wrong, and what to do. So these are all preventive. These are long-term and short-term strategies, yeah? So we need prevention, and for this, we need to work together as all organisations, you know? Har ek Guru Kar, har Sikh organisation works together. We got to get past that, oh, I don't like him, I don't like him. When it comes to Sikh Ethics, you have to get past that, I don't like that person, I don't like that person. You work together, right? Or that personally, you don't meet job money, that's fine. But because Sikhi da kaam hunda, you have to, panth kaam hundi, everyone works together regardless. The second uncle is intervention, right? From experience, with the cases that we've had to deal with, the quicker we seem to intervene of taking the girl away from the groomer, right, the better results we seem to get with the girl. I'll be truthful, that's what my experience. Obviously, if you got better experiences, you can explain. But the experiences I've seen, the quicker you can intervene from a child that's been exploited and bringing it back into normality or some kind of safe haven, is the better. Now, for that, we need a mechanism where we need a telephone numbers that, like you got at the moment. You need an email. We need, at the moment, you're very confidential. All the stuff that you do, all the cases that you deal with, they're confidential. No one needs to know what happens to that child.
That's right.
And another thing I need to stress is that when the Sikh Awareness Society, even this is like a blessing for myself also, because my Guruji tells us that we shouldn't judge others, yeah, because when these guys do come out and do seva at someone's house, they never judge. I can't believe, you not even for a second thinking it's a girl's fault. No, you work as an organisation that actually goes out there and supports the victim. I'm saying that on live TV, but I've seen it firsthand. Even that put me to shame, thinking, wow, nah, you go there and you don't judge the child, you help the child. That's wicked. That's what I like about what you guys do. Thanks. And that's why you got so much word of mouth cases coming through, because you've got a credibility now, a track record of showing what you're capable of, yeah, by bringing these good over 200 cases, yeah. So its intervention mechanism is important and key. And this is not just for the Sikh Awareness Society, this is for Guru Kars, Sikh organisations, for the parents to be able to identify what's going wrong, where, how to spot it, and then how to intervene. Because there are methods to intervene.
That's right.
Not shout at the child, not go berserk at the child, because a child is a victim here. When she needs or he needs help.
I think the word you're looking for is empathy. You got to go into the shoes of the girl, or inside her, and to look out what world she's in.
Excellent.
But you know what? Thanks very much.
Just one last thing.
Okay, fine.
Because I've done the prevention. That's a work that I'm willing to work with any organisation with. All organisations work. I've already spoken to youth organisation. They're 100% with us. The intervention method that we need to develop and give to the Sangata. And the third is the rehabilitation. Now, this is the most important and key, because this is where you need professional individuals like yourselves that go out, do counselling. Because these counselling sessions ain't 30 minutes here and there. It lasts a couple of hours, right, per person on a daily basis. And if you multiply that by 19 cases,
we're doing twice, two a day, more or less.
I don't know how you're doing it, because you haven't got the resource. Now, this is where, as a community, we need to think, okay, we've got an issue here. We've got to prevent it happening, period. So you've got the prevention mechanism, you've got the intervention mechanism, now you need the rehabilitation. So we do need people that are full-time paid, that are on call, that we can send to a case location straight away, and not be in the dilemma like you were a couple of weeks ago, where do you drive down to Bradford, or do you go down to Gravesend? Which way do you go? You need to be able to have the resource, the manpower, the professionals there to go straight away. So this is where the Sangata, I think, with what you're doing today, this is very important. With the Sangata come in now, and let's look at this issue. It's been looked at. Is now to stop it from happening, period. Because one thing I want to reiterate what you said earlier, because when this happens to a child, it's not the child effect on that. It affects the family. I have seen it firsthand. I have seen the families crumble. I've seen the families desocialise themselves from the community. They actually stop going to the Gurdwara. They even don't socialise with their own extended families. I've seen it. And you feel so sorry for them, Vachare, because they must be going so much pain. But how would we help them? This is it. Now, going forward, like I said, I'll wait for you to announce what you're up to and what you want to do, then I'll jump in again.
Okay, as we were talking, there is a scroll on the bottom of the screen, and they are giving out our numbers. They're up in Sikh Helpline, where you can contact us, where you can talk to us, where you can talk to us confidentially, where you can donate to us, where you can do any kind of seva with us. Eh Maharaj ne aj sanu, you know, this is helping your kids. Tan man tan sab saump gur ko hukum maniye pa. Ten kisam di seva tan man tan de naal, through money, through mind, through body. We require all that seva. Jaspal Singh.
Okay, Waheguru Ji Ka
Khalsa,
Khalsa,
Waheguru
Ji
Ji
Ki
Ki
Fateh. Bhai Sahib and Benji Honey sort of covered most of what I wanted to say, and I just wanted to summarise and just reiterate some of the things. If we carry on as a community doing what we've been doing in the past, then nothing's going to change. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, नौजवान उदमी खड़े हुए सिगे, and धन्यवाद हो ना नौजवानों ਨੂੰ ਵੀ, that we seem to be constantly struggling, and the sad thing is we're sometimes struggling with our own community. So I made a couple of notes, and it was, if we continue to do what we are doing, nothing will change. Taking little or no action and having little or no support from the community and the community representatives, things are and have got worse. And I'll give you a quote from a meeting Sikh Awareness Society attended. And sadly, our community don't want to take on the information sometimes we as Sikhs give you. So I'll quote you from the British Council of Britain at a meeting where they use the figure 300 perpetrators in 1 year, Asian origin. I don't like to use the word Asian. We all know, we all understand who the perpetrators are. We've all read the stories. We know who they are. So if that's not enough to make you make changes and support established organizations who have got the experience, who need the resources, who need your help in every way possible, then it's going to get worse. It may not happen to you. It may not be happening to you now, but if you're part of this community, of even a wider community, and you've allowed it to happen, kalu thodiyan vi tiyan honiyan, kalu thode vi grandchildren hone a, oda vi tusi thoda jiha soch lavo. The other point I was going to make is that by not supporting established teams, Bhai Sahib Hone have had first-hand running experience on the road, talking to families, and are prepared to stop everything and visit families. If you're not prepared to do that, at least support those who are. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
I'm going to come to you last. I'm going to go to Saab. Saab, would you want to add on to anything what we've just said? And you've seen the documentary as well.
I've seen the documentary. I've listened very closely.
What did make you feel when you were looking at the documentary first?
It made me feel really, really appalled. But the thing that struck me more than anything else is, where do we go from here? It's very good getting it into the public forum, and I think the point's been conveyed that the Sikh society need more support, monetary, and otherwise. But I think the issue here is flagging in communities that how to prevent. I think that's the most important thing. I think there's going to still be this mentality. I think NIMBY is a way to describe it. Not in my backyard.
Right.
But I think people need to get over that and see it can happen anywhere. The perpetrators of these offences are adult men, and the targets are young girls that don't know, have not seen a lot in life, and are often from very protected households.
And they're not fully developed at 12, 13, 14, are they?
And if you put yourself in the shoes of an adult trying to influence a child, it's very, very easy to do. So for a start, blaming the victims of this is not the right way to go. They're young children. They could be my children. They could be anybody's children. Point one. And secondly, I think it's a case of looking around, and you go to these meetings around the country, flag up what people should be looking out for. And I think that's probably the biggest preventative tool that we have. Look at the signs, look at your child, talk to your child every day. So even if you can't support the Sikh Awareness Society, even if you can't support other organisations helping in this cause, just sit down and have your conversation with your child every day, because that will put you in such a better position to know what's going on in their mind and what's going on in their lives.
Okay, Beta, would you want to add or anything to that? You've seen the program as well.
I've seen the program. I'm going to add on to Benji's point. The fact that in our community, in our families, no one's really willing to talk to each other about this. The fact there's only SAS out there to go to, because it's a subject that no one wants to touch. It's a subject that, like Benji said again, if it's not in your backyard, I'm not going to deal with it. And just the fact that I think a lot of children at home don't feel comfortable talking to their parents if they've got a problem. And I think as parents, they need to start having more conversations so the children do feel comfortable to come home. Another point I'm going to touch on is in the video, the girl spoke about how the boys were wearing a gada, and he said that it was a Sikh. Now, up till now, when we hear about this stuff, we say it's just a myth. But this is a first-hand experience that it's not a myth, it is happening. These are the tactics they're using. And girls out there need to be much more aware of who they're talking to and what they're doing.
Thank you very much, Beta. Again, the scrolls at the bottom as the program's running, and, seva karo through any means that you can. Koi vi jehड़ा इस वेले बाहर इस वेले program देख रहा, जिन्ने भी तुसी बाहर बैठे हैं, महाराज ने ताड़े विच capacity भरी हुई है सेवा करन दी, whether through giving your professional capacity which seva, whether through monetary funds, all the seva is required, because just the amount of cases that are coming in, कि असी पहलो बच्चे नू डील करिए, कि परिवार दे नाल डील करिए, कि उधर केस आ गया, उधर केस आ गया. There's days when we don't know whether we're coming or going, and physically there are times when we're only sleeping a couple of hours a day. So if you think this आज program ये BBC ने समझिया साथ संगत जी कि ये important issue आ कि ये सिखां दियां धीआं दे नाल की हो रहा, जे उन्हां ने important समझिया कि उन्हां ने ताड़े कोल लिया दिता on national TV, and BBC is no Mickey Mouse organization, it's one of the biggest media corporations in the world. If they saw fit to put this on TV for you, then you do something about it as well, and do seva with any means that you can. Anji, just then I'll come to...
There's something important that, from our experiences of meeting families, we need to highlight. We've been to and listened to other organisations who, and I've heard a few times professionals say, signs of grooming in a child.
Yeah.
I don't know, this is more of a question. The signs of a child being groomed and a normal child coming home from school, is there any difference? Because the experiences we've had, it's usually a healthy, happy child coming home from school and keeping a very dark secret and managing to keep that secret in cases for years. And it's almost too late by the time we realise. And every single case, I would say, is different. No case can be, or no victim can be boxed into one category to say, well, that's from a vulnerable family, they didn't get the support. We have seen, we've seen everything. So it covers, and it affects every child.
Can I just add on?
Before I say, I mean, I just want to say, Saad Sangat ji, a problem 6000 mil dur nahi Punjab de vich nahi. This problem is on your doorstep. ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਨੀ, ਇਹ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੀ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਨੀ ਪੈਣੀ to tackle this problem. ਹਾਂਜੀ.
I was just going to add on to what Baji said, and when you say, are there any signs? A lot of the times we spend not listening to our children.
Communication breakdown.
ਸਾਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਇਹੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਚਾਚੇ ਦੇ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਨੇ ਡਿਗਰੀ ਲੈ ਲਿਆ, ਸਾਡੇ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਡਿਗਰੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ. We don't actually take notice that this is our future, this is our children. We're not interested in the child, we're interested in, and unfortunately it's true, as a community, we're interested in how can we progress well in academia. that's what we're interested in. ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ time ਨਹੀਂ spend ਕਰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ. We haven't got, you know, mothers don't have time to sit down and chat to their kids. So, you know, when you're saying looking out for signs, looking out for certain things, I think a mother can pick those up, because if you've got a child, regardless of whatever background, and I'm not talking about, you know, not well-to-do or well-to-do or non-supportive backgrounds, but if you've got a child who is normally quite talkative and then all of a sudden becomes quite quiet about it, you should be able to pick up those signs that, you know, the child
lucky,
is...
That could happen.
Okay.
But that's because if you as a parent are not investing...
I've given everybody time, so I'm going to give this Baji time as well. So, Bhai Mohan Singh, you've seen what BBC have put out. You've also worked with us for many number of years. You've gone into homes. I'd just like you to share something with your Sangatana.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ
ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.
Firstly, you know, I think the BBC program was an excellent expose in terms of what's been happening in the Sikh community, not just now, since the 1960s. Sadly, every family it's happened with has brushed this under the carpet. They've tried to hide the fact that it's happened to them. And I would go further, I don't know of a single family that has not been affected by this issue. And ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਧੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਧੀ ਹੋਊਗੀ, ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਧੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਈ ਦੋਸਤ ਮਿੱਤਰ ਦੀ ਧੀ ਹੋਗੀ, ਜਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਈ ਫਰੈਂਡ ਹੋਗਾ, ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਹੋਗਾ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਈ ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਰਕਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗਾ, ਉਹ ਇਫੈਕਟਡ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੋਂ ਹੋ ਹਟਿਆ. Everybody either talks about it in little groups, or they tend not to want to raise this ugly head in society. Because jehdi gal sachi gal hegi a, doesn't matter which community you come from, jehdi hegi the whole thing about sexual exploitation, it's been hidden by communities for centuries. ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਦੂਸਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਨਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੰਮ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, we know that organizations, and obviously, you know, yourselves have come along and you've tried to do your best to try to tackle this issue. And at last, right, this is what I would say, people in the media have begun to investigate and actually, you know, pull the veil away from the issue and say this is actually what's happening. It's not just happening to white girls, it's happening within the Sikh community.
That's right.
And in fact, it's not just happening within the Sikh community, it's happening within the Punjabi community, within the Hindu community. You name it, it's happening within those communities, because these girls have got a price on their head. As the guy said at the end, he actually acknowledged how much these girls earned him when he was involved in this. Now, coming to in terms of what we'd already gone kar chuke bhi, what are the next steps? The second gal hai, pehli gal hai ki we need to ensure that, you know, our organizations are set up in a correct manner. That they trust, they can actually appeal for money, that money can come in, we can be held accountable, but also, more importantly, that those finances are used to employ professionals.
That's right.
People that actually have the training to offer proper counselling. That's right. People that can do investigations.
And it doesn't come cheap.
No, it doesn't come cheap.
It doesn't come cheap.
And that's why, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਮੈਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਆ, ਹੁਣ ਫੇਰ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਫੇਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਵੀ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਈ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਹੈਗਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਆ ਕੁਝ. To educate, to employ people, to help the community, but more importantly, you should also help organizations such as S.A.S. to help finance their activities, to help employ people on a full-time basis, so that they employ professional people that can go out and carry out investigations, they can carry out to work with the police, work with the social services, work with even those agencies that are getting together statistics where they say, oh, this is perpetrated by everybody. Well, the truth of the matter is that there's different types of sexual grooming or sexual crimes that are committed against women. And this particular type of crime that we're talking about is perpetrated by a particular type of gang. And that's all true prevalent in terms of the numbers of those type of people that have been prosecuted and successfully prosecuted through the courts.
Very importantly, on that, there is
We don't have much time, but
is that one thing is that we're referring to sexual exploitation, and Sue Berlowitz refers to sexual exploitation. What she's not doing is segmenting it to street grooming, and it's very important that we get this across, that yes, sexual exploitation overall has a higher representation of the British community, the indigenous community, but we're talking about street grooming, and that has an alarming, and I'll use the words, over-representation of a particular community.
Okay, thanks very much. I've just got something in here. Sikh community as well as Sikh Awareness Society ने तुसी फिल्म दे च भी देखा है कि बड़े एक्सट्रीम मेजर्स टेक कीते आ कि बच्ची लंडन दे विच केस हो रहा लंडन दे विचों नगर कीर्तन दे विचों बच्ची नूं अपना भेस बदल के ते उन्होंने अपने कोहर्स किया उस बच्ची नूं सानू 3 महीने 4 महीने तो पहलों लभण नूं लाते साध संगत जी असी लास्ट बैल जो कहते ना प्राइवेट डिटेक्टिव का हार कहना 1200 पाउंड 1500 पाउंड एक हफ्ते का 4 दिन का लै लेंदे आ ਉਹ ਬੱਚੀ ਦੇ 2-3 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਲਾਏ ਲੱਭਣ ਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਸੈਟਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਉਹ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੀ ਬੱਚੀ ਸਮਝ ਕੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸਾਂਭ ਰਿਹਾ ਆ ਦੇयर ਅ ਲੋਟ ਆਫ ਸੇਵਾ ਹੈਪਨਿੰਗ ਦੇयर ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੀ ਬੱਚੀ ਗਈ ਆ ਉਹ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਬੱਚੀਆਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਸੰਭਾਲਦੇ ਆ so there's a lot happening in the sangat but you know what we do need to take it to a different level we do need to get professionals on board professionals who understand the counseling professional who understands the hurt and also spiritually कि आप किथे हैं किथे नहीं but हाँ जी Cam
I think there's a couple of things quick on what you said sorry pick up a couple of things of what you said here yeah the situation is this. I was reading the BBC article today, actually, in regards to that the Sikh community are keeping this under locks because they're scared for the child to, number one, to be known that this has happened to their child, which is very understandable. I can't knock on because I can understand where they're coming from. I can understand the psyche behind it. But this is also makes us a vulnerable group now.
Easy target.
Because the simple reason why, if you're not prepared to go to the authorities and tell them that this is happening to you, the authorities, like they did, said, well, we haven't got any statistics to say that this is happening in your community. Obviously, you're aware, other organisations that deal with this daily are aware of what's happening. People are hearing it, but no one's putting it down on a piece of paper. This is why when you go on this next level, we can with the group what you're doing now, we can take it forward and say, look, there are certain reasons why the Sikh community, what other communities...
I'd like to just come in there, and the reason why I'd like to come in there, I dispute some of the things that the authorities are saying. Because you know those girls that end up on the street, they end up in local authority care. They end up in they're looked after children. And those authorities are failing those girls because they're, instead of investigating what's happening to those girls and investigating what's happening to their families, what they're saying is that it's a lifestyle choice. And so that's what happens. You see, the point is, right, when the police, when local authorities and they say, oh, we haven't got the statistics, the truth of the matter is that they haven't created the statistics, they haven't monitored the situation. What they've done is they've dealt with it in a different way. They've looked at it as a cultural conflict with the child and the parents, rather than looking at the child being groomed by these people and being exploited against the parents and turning that young child into a life of prostitution and crime. And that's what's happening to those girls.
Okay, just...
sorry, I thought I needed to...
Not a problem. It's well said, actually. And I'm just going to come to you. But in the next 3 minutes, we're going to take calls from Sevadars, SAS Sevadars, out on the streets working day and night. So we're going to start taking calls from them as well. But if you finish up, what you're saying.
Anyway, the situation what we've got here is when you become an easy target, you're more of a prime suspect to take easier. And the thing is, we are living in certain areas where where these gangs are pretty evident and working, across the country. So we need to be aware of that and mindful that this is happening. They're aware of it. No one's going to go back to their home and tell them. No one's going to tell their parents. This is, you're talking about I'll tell you about one particular case. My uncle, the one that we dealt with down south, The girl, well, obviously we're not going to mention the girl. What I will mention is the tactic that was used on this particular individual, on how they coerced her into thinking and behaving in the way that suited them. For example, who picked her up from school, who was on the Facebook. Look at this, all starts from social media. Or the grooming gang was related to the 15-year-old. who's picked up the girl, because she's a vulnerable target here, yeah? Once they started dialoguing with her, bringing her this way, when they told her to do sexual activity, they sent her links to porn sites and all this sort of stuff. The girl, what her father did, his father was suspicious of what was happening with the child, thinking something not right here with the way she's behaving. So what he did, he invested in software in his computer that looked at everything that was going on. So he had a log of what was happening. Yeah. So on the log, what they saw on the log and the police saw on the log was you had an individual telling the young child, who the individual was over the age of 18, telling a young 12-year-old child to do X, Y, and Z, and then sending the link, and the child saying, I don't want to do this. Even to the point that the main point that I want to get at is this. They said to the child, if your mum and dad stop you, listen to this. They said that you can't go to this part, you can't do this, yeah? All you need to do is say X, Y, and Z to social services. Social services will intervene. They will take you away from the family, your stronghold, your base, and then now you're in our qabza. This is what happened.
Yeah,
you saw it for the first time. You read the document, you read it right in front of you, how they manipulated the young 12-year-old child into behaving in a particular way where she went against the parents and phoned the police, said, my daddy's X, Y, Z, bang, finished. If she's out of your safety net, it's harder for her to look after. The last case I want to quickly mention again is the case that we had to deal with a couple of years ago. Again, on social media, Facebook, yeah? The girl, the older sister, is friends with a particular individual. Obviously, she's got her younger sister connected to her on Facebook as family member, right? Or younger. Siggy, I need to mention this one because it's important that there's a lot of people on Facebook here.
Yeah, you've got
10 seconds.
10 seconds.
The guy looked at the young sister, goes to the young sister that I'm your sister's friend, but I'm not talking to her. Could you help me out? So what he did, he won her confidence and said, don't tell her because I've broken up with her at the moment because I'm not talking on a particular issue, but I want to gain your interest. Gain your confidence. He gained the girl's confidence to the point that what sexual exploitation took place. The girl, the older sister, actually got beat up by this particular individual for when intervening to say, look, what you're doing to my sister. But what I'm trying to get at is, look, it is prevalent, it's happening out there. Your social media, you need to be careful who you're adding on your friend list. Very careful.
I'm going to take a call now from one of our sevadars out on the street. And these are the unsung heroes of the organization. Jehde din raat apna ਘਰ ਦੇ ਕੰਮ ਧੰਦੇ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਦਿਨ ਰਾਤ up and down the motorways helping families, helping young children. I hope he's on the line. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.
ਹਾਂਜੀ.
ਹਾਂਜੀ. I watched the show today, and as a young lady, I feel that the show itself was very thought-provoking.
Right.
And it hit home. And I think what it's doing is it's highlighting the issues that we are facing as a community. And as a young woman in our community, I can see and understand both sides of the fence, really. And I think we need a little bit more awareness. And secondly, it's just my benti to the Sangat that we need to support the SAS. We need to support them in reference to, you know, just communicating the fact that they are there. Secondly, with our volunteers that are going out, we need to support these people, whether it's financially, whether it's volunteer work. But I would just like to say that SAS are doing a fantastic job, and we need to keep this going, and we need to protect our Tia Bena that are out there, because at the moment not enough is being done. As much as is going on, it's not enough. And I think it's about time every Sikh household understands what impact this is actually having on our household, on us as a community, you know, at large. And that's all I wanted to say. So,
thank you. We're not giving the names of the sevadars out there because they're doing day in, day out, they're doing seva throughout the country, so we're not giving names of the sevadars. We will get another sevadar on. Javi?
I was just going to say, an important thing for me that really hit home watching the documentary is we've identified the problem ourselves in our community. Our channels have supported it. We've put it across. We've, you know, visited Gurdwara, we've visited houses and things. But now the BBC are recognising it, and they're recognising it, and they're naming specific groups. When the BBC are brave enough to say that, you know what, this is it. And they're not just naming it. When they're doing their interviews, they've got, you know, the children's commissioner there. Jedi commissioner, you know, Sue, she's going to, even though she knows about problems, they're going to give that politically correct answer.
That's right.
These statistics are there to be manipulated anyway. People are going to manipulate the statistics. They're going to hide and show what they want to or what suits them. And in the same way, the police are doing a job. The social services are doing a job. Whereas our Sevadar, they're not doing a job. Our Sevadar are out there because they care about the community, because they want to make an impact. They've seen the problems and they're that disturbed. I know when I first got involved, I was looking around, police ki kar diya, and I think I've seen you know, when cases get filed and they get left on a pile, and then you're still waiting, well, what's happening? You know, what's happening? So we need to really stress the point that we're now that the BBC's raised it as more of an issue, it puts pressure on the organisations, puts more pressure on the police, it puts more pressure on the government to say, you know, well, what's happening with this? And we need to stay with that and highlight things to our organisations, work with the SAS, work with our organisations that are working anyway. We need to make sure that we've got that grasp. And the other interesting thing was the British Muslim Council, when they had the guy and the Imam spoke from there. The last sentence he said, I'm going to go back and actually watch the documentary again. I recommend everybody watches it. He says himself, word for word, he says, there's a disproportionate number of people from our community. He's saying from his own community, there's a disproportionate number in all of the recent cases. That last sentence is really powerful. When somebody from their own community is acknowledging that, yeah, you know what, there is a lot of people from our community, as in their own community, then we should now be looking at that and thinking, they're acknowledging the problem themselves.
Okay, we're going to take another call from one of our Sevadars out. Hanji, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa,
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Bhai Sahib Ji, it's Jagjit Singh here from London.
Hanji, Ji, just fire away.
Yeah, you know, we've been helping the Sikh Awareness Society, Maharaj Kirpanal, for a fair few years now, as you know.
Hanji.
You know, the biggest problem we're having, especially in the London area, is the resources. You know, when we started up 7 years ago, as you're well aware, Bhai Sahib, we were students. We were all helping out as much as we can with our sisters in this predicament. The problem is with the lack of resources, we are unable to go to every single family. We are unable to follow up every single case. Now, we've had one case in Ilford where we've had to visit the family over 7 or 8 times, travelling from just West London. And these are visits that are spontaneous. So we might get a call at 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night to go in. And so, you know, we've never asked before, but I think we really do need the Sangat to help put in the resources, put in the funding, so we can have Sevadars in every town and city. When a family is in trouble, when they don't know who to turn to, someone will give them a strong shoulder there to talk to them, to talk to how to negotiate with social services, with the police, in a very critical time. And, you know, time is of the essence in these cases. You know, before the abuse gets worse, it needs to be nipped in the bud. So my appeal to the Sangat really is, Sad Sangat Ji, please support the Sikh Awareness Society in every manner, in every form, and please let's stop this abuse, let's stop the grooming happening. You know, these are our daughters, these are our future mothers, we must protect them.
Thanks very well.
I just wanted to carry on from a point that Baji just made, and it's about going to families' houses. And I know that when we've visited, a lot of the times you go and you visit, and there's been a particular case that I've been dealing with, where the mother actually called me, and I think I got stressed out the one day. She called me, and this is no joke, from 9 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night every hour, just wanting to have a chat, just wanting to offload. Her daughter was going through a similar grooming situation, and thankfully we'd got her daughter to come back, but then she left home. And for 4 days, it was she's back now. But for every single hour, and then, you know, when you've got your own family life as well, and I think I got to the point where I said, look, I can't talk to you anymore, you have to speak to Bhai Mohan Singh now, because, you know, 4 days, every hour, just to say everything's fine, or she said this to me, or she said that to me, or can you speak to my daughter? So, you know, when we say it's a little bit of time, it's not actually a little bit of time. It's not 2 hours, it's not 3 hours. It's the ongoing that goes on after that, hour after hour. Sometimes, you know, with the mothers, because it's the first time that they've actually spoken to somebody, you know, it takes... they just think, wow, you know, we've got somebody to offload on now, and they could be talking to you for hours and hours and hours on end, and that's when you do need the support. We do, you know, we are desperately in
well,
need of...
I'm just going to put it simple. If you value apniyan bachchiyan di value karde hain, I would just say if somebody started donating £5, which is a couple of packet of crisps and a can of Coke, a couple of packet of crisps and a can of Coke that ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਵੀਕ ਨਾ ਪੀਓ ਰੈਗੂਲਰਲੀ, ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸਿਹਤ ਲਈ ਚੰਗੀ ਹੋਊਗਾ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਬੱਚੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰੋਗੇ. And you know, it's so simple to take that money out. We're supporting animal charities, we're supporting all these charities. Also these are ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਬੱਚੀਆਂ, ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਕਿਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਰਨਾ? So please, 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 don't just a program changa si highlight ho gaya and then you go back to your beds and sleep it off. We need your support. Duji ji je ya, I will be coming, I will be knocking on your doors, and I'm going to come personally to everybody's house, and I'm going to sit with you, have a cup of tea with you, and I'm going to come personally. Je tusi menu kahne a ki main tade pairi hath vi la dunga, but I need your support. SAS needs your support.
Can I just step in? What I was going to say is, yes, this documentary has brought everything out into the open, but the SAS do need your support because this is only going to get worse.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why I say that. It's because the perpetrators of these offences are Asian men.
Yeah.
The police are aware of the kinds of groups of people that are perpetrators of these offences, and therefore to use Sikh girls or Asian girls in general, it suits their needs, because if a bunch of guys in a park are sat in the evening with a white girl, that will alert the police to them. Whereas if it's an Asian girl, she could be their sister, their friend, their cousin.
That can be approached.
So, and the police have been trained with regards to it. So the perpetrators are almost using Sikh girls to get around the police and the training that the police have had. So it's going to get worse in that way. And the second point I'd like to raise is, I think with the Asian community, specifically, well, not specifically, but the Asian community in general, I think there's one rule for boys and there's one rule for girls. And I think you've got to make your daughter feel, yes, you're different, but you're equal. And if you make your daughter feel valued, I'm sure that will have a positive impact, and they're less likely to submit to these perpetrators.
So, Sasangi, ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਿਲਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਗਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਆਪਣੀ ਪੋਤੀ ਭੇਜਣੀ ਆ ਪਾਰਕ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਧੀ ਭੇਜਣੀ ਆ ਪਾਰਕ ਨੂੰ, and these perpetrators are actually hanging out in parks and in shopping malls and, you know, all these places where you're ਬੜੇ ਕਹਿ ਲਓ ਕਿ unaware of all these things, and you're sending your kids to the parks and everything, and they're getting picked up at the parks, getting groomed at the parks. It's a very, very sad situation out there. It's a very dangerous situation out there. And you know what? Together, we've got to change the situation. Nobody else is going to change it for us. Our contact details are on there. There's a scroll going on. So Satsang ji, ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਆ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੌਨਫੀਡੈਂਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ. ਸਾਡੀ ਹੈਲਪਲਾਈਨ ਆ, ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਸੁਸਾਇਟੀ ਦੀ ਵੈਬਸਾਈਟ ਆ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵੈਬ ਪੇਜ ਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਕੌਨਫੀਡੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. ਤੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉੱਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਦੱਸੋ. ਬਟ ਹੋਰ ਸਪੋਰਟਾਂ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਆ, ਪਰ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਹ ਫੰਡਿੰਗ ਦੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਲੋੜ ਆ, ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਸੇਵਾਦਾਰ ਬਾਹਰ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਐਂਡ ਸਾਰੇ ਸ਼ਹਿਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, they need your help. ਹਾਂਜੀ ਕੈਮ ਸਿੰਘ.
I missed it, but how did the Sangha support you with monetary funds? Where do they go for this direct debit form? What do they do? How do they do it?
You can go straight to the web page right now. ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਉੱਥੇ PayPal ਦੇ ਥਰੂ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਡੈਬਿਟ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਥਰੂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਰਸਨਲੀ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਟ ਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ PayPal ਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟਲੀ ਵੀ ਕਹਿ ਦਿਓ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਸੇਵਾਦਾਰ ਭੇਜ ਦੇਵਾਂਗੇ. we need your support ਤੁਸੀਂ Sikh Awareness Society ਦੇ ਵੈਬ ਪੇਜ ਤੇ ਚੱਲ ਜਿਓ ਉੱਥੇ ਡੋਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੁਰੇ ਆਇਆ ਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ PayPal or ਆਪਣੇ direct debit or standing orders you can set with the Sikh Awareness Society. All the code and the bank codes are there.
It's important to mention that we're a registered charity as well.
So the website actually is www.sasorg.co.uk. That's been scrolled at the bottom of the as we're talking. So it's www.sasorg.co.uk.
What quickly I'd like to say then, if that is the case, if the website is on the scroll at the moment, so www.sasorg.co.uk, my beinty to all the people that are on, if they can tweet that particular website address, or if they can Facebook share it, put the link up, put the donation link up, and then share it. Now the whole point is everyone's seen the issue. You've seen what the problem is. Now you got an organisation in front of you, which I'm not actually a part of, but I actually sit down with you guys. I feel blessed to sit with you guys because I know how much seva you guys do. And if we're going to support something, then these are the sort of people that we want to be supporting. Now this is where you know the proof is in the pudding, basically. Now, so now is the time for the community to help out. All of us, from students to the elders, need to take it on ourselves to get that direct debit form, that donation page, put it on our walls, right, and share it with our friends, our own family, start from home. So we fill it in ourselves, we get our own ristadar, our own friends to start, and then we can start tackling it. I'm not lying, like Benji said, this thing is going to get worse. The issue is going to get worse. There's several reasons for that, which I can't go into right now, which I'm sure we can do a proper show where we can do the mechanisms that we discussed, where we do the prevention measures, we do the intervention measures, we do the rehabilitation measures, we give them out and we explain to them how they work. I reckon we need to do another show on that in the coming week or whatever, and then let's see what happens. Now it's today's Monday raat hogi. Now let's see in a week if we can get some kind of momentum going on this to tackle it. We have to put a stop to it. I don't want to be sitting here next year thinking, oh my God, here we go again. We're talking about the same thing. This is something that we shouldn't need to say because this is sport. This is every single person out. I'm sure anyone who's watching this is thinking, how can we support? From all faiths, are going to be saying, because this is not, I don't think that these people are practicing what their faith. These are scum. People that do this, this is scum. Complete scum. I'm sure their own community will denounce them and say these guys in. And I'll back them on that, right? The situation, what we need to understand is good people will support this. Because good people will know that you've helped not just Sikh girls, anyone. And this is the whole main point here. You've helped. And what we're basically doing is taking it to a next level and going full time. Like you said, Benji, you need the people, the resource there to be able to answer the phones. At the moment, you're doing it voluntarily with your own family. But it needs to be done where you're there continuously, 24/7. There's someone at the end of the phone that you pick up the phone, here's the situation, and they're on the way. They're on their way. Let's get this sorted. Sangaji, please, if you're on Facebook, if you can tweet it, the link is on the screen there for you. Please tweet and share the page.
We're running over time as it is. I'm going to thank the panel. Apne ko koi final thoughts hai nahi, but I would like to say, as a S.A.S. member, key member of the S.A.S, ke hath jod ke beinti a कि जे तुसी अपने पुराने सिखां दी गल करो ਤੇ ਪੁਰਾਣੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਧੀਆਂ ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਡਿਫਿਕਲਟੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਬਦਾਲੀ ਵਰਗੇ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਚਰਾ ਕੇ ਲੈ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਰੋਟੀ ਪਾਣੀ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਛਕਿਆ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਜੇਕਰ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਘਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਸੋ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹੁਣ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਚ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ 19 ਕੇਸ ਆ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਕੇਸ ਆ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਆਪਣਾ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ਾਦਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਥੋੜਾ ਖਾ ਦਈਏ ਥੋੜੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਖਾ ਲਓ ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬਚਤ ਹੋਊਗੀ ਉਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਡੋਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਭੇਜੋ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਮੈਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਚੈਨਲ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਪਿਛਲੇ ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਐਥਿਕਸ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਐਥਿਕਸ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ BBC ਨੇ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਈ grooming ਦਾ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ they picked up on that. They've actually picked up on that and they contacted us last year. So ਜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੋਲ ਇਹ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮ ਨਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਸਕਦੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਅਪੀਲ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਆ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਪੂਰਾ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਤਨ ਮਨ ਧਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ we need your support and please be generous be very generous but in the next coming weeks we are going to be touring the UK and we will be knocking on your doors so please open the doors for us and please donate ਇਹ ਮੈਂ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਲਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੰਗ ਰਿਹਾ ਮੈਂ ਕੌਮ ਦੀਆਂ ਬੱਚੀਆਂ ਲਈ ਮੰਗ ਰਿਹਾ ਜੇ ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਬੱਚੀਆਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਹਨਾ ਤੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਕੌਮ ਦਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਰਿਵਰਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ so we do need to get up those that can donate through the PayPal internet ਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ do it ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਫਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਕਰੋ we'll send a ਸੇਵਾਦਾਰ out we'll get the forms we'll fill the forms in for you and we'll take your ਸੇਵਾ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ so ਆਓ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਫੈਕਟਡ ਹੋਏ ਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ BBC ਨੇ ਵੀ ਦਿਖਾ ਲਿਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ if you need any help please ring us because I know that even while looking at this film and I've worked with these girls I was affected by just looking at that half an hour and I know that people outside also been affected so ਸਾਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਰਿਓ ਤੇ once again Sikh channel ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ I ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਮੇਰੀਆਂ ਭੈਣਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਭਾਈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਬਾਹਰ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਦਿਨ ਰਾਤ ਇੱਕ ਕਰਕੇ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ Sikh Awareness Society wouldn't exist without all them ਸੇਵਾਦਾਰ ਆਓ ਆਪਾਂ ਫਤਿਹ ਸਾਂਝੀ ਕਰੀਏ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ